You've been told fossil fuels, coal, oil, gas, they're evil.
Leave it in the soil, coal, gas, oil. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
At this demonstration, one man had the nerve to hold a sign saying, "I love fossil fuels." Protesters ripped it out of his hand.
Hey, excuse me, this is private property.
Later, he tries to convince them that fossil fuels are good.
These fuels are far cheaper, more plentiful, more reliable.
Most protesters don't want to hear it. They know fossil fuels are bad.
Fossil fuels help in the short term. That's real. I mean, I turn on the lights every morning.
But I guess
that's real. But in the long run, that's not going to help. We're not anti-electricity, we're anti-fossil fuels.
Green tyrants tell them to be.
I've made an unrefuted case that it's going to destroy us if we keep doing what we're doing.
This activist is Bill McKibben.
The oceans will rise, that the forests will burn.
McKibben speaks at campus after campus. But this speech was a little different because there was one opposing viewpoint.
Fossil fuels are absolutely essential.
That's Alex Epstein, that counter-protester you saw before.
This guy had said that the fossil fuel industry, which is the industry that makes all of our lives possible, is public enemy number one.
Epstein says it's moral to use fossil fuels. He wanted to debate McKibben, but green tyrants don't like to debate. So Epstein offered McKibben money.
I'll pay him 10 grand, I'll get him a venue at Duke University. And he said yes.
That's how that rare debate happened. I'm glad students heard points like this.
This is a piece of coal. Basically all fossil fuel energy is it's taking this rock and figuring out how to use it to charge your iPhone or to power your car. I think that's amazing.
It is amazing, but it pollutes.
Energy is a climate protection device, and we need as much of it as we can get.
There we go. This is what we do on live television, folks, in the blizzard.
Nature doesn't give us a safe climate that we're making dangerous. It gives us an incredibly dangerous climate that we're making safe.
Certainly safer. Even as the globe has warmed, climate-related deaths have dropped by a lot. Since 1933, by 98%.
We desperately need the rain.
Drought used to be the biggest climate-related killer, but those deaths are way down because fossil fuels allowed trucks to bring food to people who once starved, and because farmers fight drought with fossil fuel-powered irrigation pumps. Still, global warming may become a big problem.
All the worst predictions, if they never materialize, what will be the harm that is done from having made the decision to respond to it?
What's the harm?
Kerry was giving that speech in Indonesia. If they hadn't been able to use coal, which is what Kerry thinks they shouldn't be able to use, they would still be desperately poor.
But the protesters don't think about that. And the green tyrants have convinced them other fuels are just as good.
Renewables really work.
100% renewable for Americans means Americans get to control and own their own energy.
Politicians give your money to people who sell wind power and solar power.
We've got to keep developing new sources of energy.
Europe tried that first, but then noticed the wind doesn't always blow, and clouds sometimes block the sun. Electricity prices shot way up. So now in Europe,
many governments are reinvesting in fossil fuels.
They're actually building more coal capacity than ever to compensate for the renewables that they can't rely upon. Sometimes there's too much, sometimes there's too little. You want forms of energy that you can control, not that control you.
But activists point out renewables are improving. Today, they provide 13% of America's electricity. However,
when people say renewable, they usually think solar and wind, but those contribute a very minuscule percentage. It's mostly hydro, which is a great source of energy that the environmentalists mostly oppose.
It kills fish.
Yeah, and the Sierra Club's list of its most proud accomplishments, it lists all the dams it shuts down.
Don't the activists see the contradiction? No.
In the future, cars could be powered by hazelnuts. That's encouraging, considering an 8-ounce jar of hazelnuts costs about $9.
He made one of the best arguments ever against solar, wind, and biofuels. I just don't think he realizes it.
After all, Fallon belongs to a group that attacks fossil fuels.